Hi everybody, it's Penny. Welcome to my kitchen. Most of you know me from working in the office at the center, at the Live and Learn Center. But what many of you may not know is that I actually love to cook and bake. And I have, over the last several years, been accumulating some original recipes of mine. And some of them are very, very easy, like today's. So I thought we could share it. And hopefully you'll enjoy it, and maybe we'll do more. So today I'm going to show you how to do a coconut custard pie. Now, I came up with this recipe after seeing a recipe in a book for what was called impossible pie. And basically everything was mixed in a bowl, and then you pour it in a pie plate, put it in the oven, you come out, and it's a pie. And I'm thinking, well, how is that going to work? So I tried it. And it actually makes its own little crust, its own custard filling, and its own crust on the top, which is the coconut. But I wasn't really happy with the actual taste of the recipe. So using the same technique, I changed up some of the ingredients and came up with something that I think is more custardy rather than quiche-like. So what we're going to need is a 1/4 cup of softened room temperature butter, which I have here. We're going to need 1 cup of sugar. Now, for anyone who's diabetic and is cutting back on their sugar, you can substitute half of that sugar for Splenda or stevia or whatever artificial sugar or sweetener that you prefer to use. We're going to need 6 eggs. However, those eggs are going to be separated as 2 whole eggs and then 4 egg yolks. So I have 3 of those done in this bowl, and in a minute I'll show you how to separate the yolk. So once that's completed, we're going to need 1/2 cup of flour, 1/8 of a teaspoon of nutmeg, 1/2 teaspoon of cinnamon. We're going to put 2 teaspoons of vanilla and into the sugar and butter, and then we're going to need 1 cup of our unsweetened or sweetened, whatever you have in the house really, of flaked coconut. And we're going to need 2 cups of milk. Now, I use tin milk. This is the Carnation brand, but you can use whatever brand you want. This is not enough for 2 cups, so what I do is I do 1 cup, I pour that out, and then I top it up with whatever milk you have on hand in order to make the 2 cups. Having that said, if you don't have tin milk in the house, just use regular milk, or half and half, or coffee cream, or a combination of both. Any of it will work, but growing up in Newfoundland, we use tin milk in all our baking, so I still tend to do that, and it does give it a little bit of a different flavor. So, before we go any further, I'm going to show you how to separate the whites of an egg from the yolk. So you crack your egg, and over a separate bowl, turn it this way so that your yolk stays in the bottom shell, and then the whites just kind of fall off like that. And then if you want to, you can transfer it over to the other one, because sometimes there's a little bit of white left, but that's okay if there is. So you put that in the bowl, and I'm just going to wipe my hands because that's raw egg. So what I have in this bowl is the 4 whites of the eggs. But don't throw them away. Put them in a baggie, get a Sharpie, and mark on it 4 egg whites, and throw it up in your freezer. The next time you're doing a recipe that calls for 2 eggs, you can use 4 egg whites, because 2 egg whites equals 1 egg when you're baking. Or you can do egg white omelets, you could make meringue. Next time you make scrambled eggs, throw these in with your other eggs. But don't throw them away, because they're still good. Okay? You can throw them up in the freezer. So we'll just lay those aside. So now that you know how to get your 4 egg yolks and your 2 whole eggs, let's get started. Step number 1, wash your hands, always. Step number 2, preheat your oven to 350 degrees, which I have. And then we're going to grease our pie plate, which I have here. It's a 9-inch pie plate. You don't have a pie plate? Don't worry. You can use any 8 or 9-inch square pan. Doesn't have to be glass. Could be metal, whatever you have. So whenever I grease a plate, I use butter because that's what I have on hand. And then I put my hand in a sandwich baggie because I don't want my hand to get full of butter, but that's just me. You can use your hand, you can use a piece of paper towel, you could use a cooking brush, whatever you would normally do when you're greasing a pan. Okay, so that didn't take very long. So there's my pan all greased, and now I get to throw away my baggie, and my hands are still clean. Ta-da! Now set this aside, but don't put it on your stove because you're preheating your oven and you don't want your butter or oil or spray, whatever you use to grease your pan with, to melt. So lay that aside, and now we're going to take our 1/4 cup of softened butter and our 1 cup of sugar, and using a whisk, we're just gonna get that blended a little bit, just a little bit, and we're going to add in our 2 teaspoons of vanilla extract, or real vanilla if that's what you have. It's all good. Lay that aside, and that may take, a minute or so to get that a little blended in there. Okay, so now you're going to add your eggs, and then lay that aside. And this is when you want to get a little bit of your elbow grease in there, because you want to get your butter and your eggs very, very well combined. No lumpies. You're not necessarily looking to whisk like this to get air in the eggs. You're just looking to get them all very, very well combined. Okay, so once you have that done, now we're going to start adding our flour. So I've pre-measured a 1/2 cup of flour, and we're going to have 1/8 of a teaspoon of nutmeg, which is not very much at all. If you don't have nutmeg, leave it out. It's okay. It's just kind of traditional in a custardy dish. And we're going to add a 1/2 teaspoon of cinnamon. Okay, and then we are also going to add our 2 cups of milk. I have 1 cup of the tin milk already measured, so we're going to pour that in there. And then the rest of the milk. And if you do have tin milk and you wanted to use 2 tins, be careful because 2 tins will give you more than 2 cups. You only need 2 cups of milk. And then I'm just going to top this up with a little bit of the fresh, what in Newfoundland we call fresh milk. There we go. So that goes in there. And then our 1 cup of coconut. And we're going to stir all that around with the whisk till it's all nice and combined. And there's no lumps of flour, anything like that. And believe it or not, that's it. That's it. Now we're going to put it in our pie pan and bake it off. Okay, now, I need you to remember something for me. There's 6 raw eggs in here. There's no licking of the bowl. This isn't your typical cake pie batter bowl. So I'm going to grab a spatula, because we want to get all of it into our pie pan. Yeah. And it's going to be full. but that's okay. All right, so I would recommend that you place this on a cookie sheet and then put cookie sheet and all in the oven, in the middle of the oven. It's going to be in there for about an hour, maybe a little bit more. But it's important to remember that we have to wait until it's risen evenly across. The sides are going to rise quicker than the middle, but we can't take it out of the oven until it's risen evenly across. We're not looking for a bow, we're just looking for even across. So I'll see you in about an hour. Hi everybody, welcome back to my kitchen. Pie's ready. Get it out of the oven. Woohoo! It's very, very hot. Now, as you can see, it's risen all the way across. These two sides, I should have turned it in the oven halfway through, but I didn't. So it kind of rose on two sides a little unevenly, but that's okay. So in the next 10 minutes or so, what's going to happen is the pie is going to cool and condense, so it's going to fall. It's going to look like it's fallen into itself. That's perfectly normal. That's just what you want. Let it completely cool, maybe even chill in the fridge for half an hour, slice her up, and enjoy. Bye!